Content in social media is that deep. It's so deep. It's so emotional. It's so kind of like being in this constant identity crisis and this constant toxic cycle where one day you feel on top of the world, like you know what you're doing, you're thriving, you're popping off, and then the next second you are absolutely spiraling and you have no idea what you're doing. And some people might think it's dramatic to say that content creation in social media is so deep and posting on social media is easy. Just post your TikTok, post your Instagram, post your podcast, your YouTube, like just don't think about it. But no, I'm going to be thinking about it. Actually, I'm going to be overthinking it all the time and constantly pivoting and rebranding and overanalyzing everything. And so today we're going to unpack all of that. At this point, I have had years under my belt and I truly feel like I could have a PhD in content crash outs. So today we're going to unpack all of that. We're going to dig deep on the deep side of content creation and the absolute spiral that comes with it. Whether you are a full-time creator with millions of followers or you are just getting started on social media, it's all the same. It's all the same emotions that come up. So today we're going to unpack it all and I have so much to say. And then of course after that, I'm going to go through some content ideas to kind of load up your content calendar for the week. And we have a couple other things to discuss. So we have a lot to do together at work. By the way, if you're new, welcome to the Busy Blooming office. This is actually your digital office for social media and content creation. You've just clocked in. You're actually at work right now on the clock. Busy Blooming is where we all gather every single Monday to start our work week together in the world of social and content. Whether you're a content creator, a podcaster, a lifestyle influencer, a social media manager for a brand, we come together from all different walks in our world of social and content and clock in every Monday to kickstart our weeks together with a meeting, some content ideas, and everything that needs to come across your desk in the world of social media. So if you're new, make sure to subscribe. Subscribing to the channel is kind of like grabbing your desk and then introduce yourself to your new coworkers below. We will welcome you in with open arms to the Busy Blooming office. And so with all that being said, today is very much a content therapy vibe to the episode. So let's get into it. Okay, before we get into the rest of the episode, I want to tell you about one of the best ways to elevate your content as a creator, build your brand, but also to reignite your creativity like we're talking about today, which is story blocks. I am so obsessed with them. Story blocks is truly a non-negotiable for me as a creator. I use them every single week. I just am so obsessed with them. I can't even really create content without story blocks at this point. Storyblocks is a stock media subscription service offering unlimited downloads of diverse and high quality media for one predictable subscription cost. So there are never hidden fees. It's always under one subscription cost, which is game changing. And they have everything you need as a creator for your short form content, your long form content, your podcast. They have templates, music, sound effects, video, green screens, and even more. This is such a good place to go to build your signature brand on social media because you could pick a couple of sounds, a couple of songs, certain overlays and green screens that you repeatedly use all the time in your content to kind of be known for these certain things, which I do in my short form content and in my long form. As you guys know, I always use the story blocks confetti in every single YouTube video in the after hours section, but I also use it for my short form content. I always use the clicking sound effect, the typing sound effect, love their B-roll. It's so important as well as a creator. You hear all the time the advice to have storytelling as a part of your content strategy. And what's the best way to do storytelling? Add some gorgeous B-roll from story blocks that correlates with what you're talking about, and then you don't have to take the B-roll like Storyblocks has it for you. It's amazing. I also have to say one of my personal favorite features of Storyblocks is that everything is royalty free, which is always in the back of my mind personally for me, is always double checking the legal rights of being able to use certain video, green screens, music, etc. But Storyblocks handles all of that for you because anything you download with Storyblocks is 100% royalty free, pre-licensed, and ready to use. It is truly everything you need as a content creator to build your brand, elevate your content, reignite your creativity. Head to storyblocks.com/Tess Barkley or click the link in the description. And thank you so much to Storyblocks for sponsoring today's episode. You guys know how much I love them, so definitely go check them out and let's get into the episode. Okay, so I'm going to do something for the first time at the Busy Blooming office. This is a first for me, is that rather than coming at you like I'm an expert and I know everything and I have all these tips and advice and ways to work through things, I'm actually going to have a bit of a moment with you and a bit of a content therapy, like one-on-one. I'm really not your boss in this episode. I'm truly your coworker because I wanted to share what I am currently struggling with and like currently going through right now. And then what I do when I feel this way, because I have felt this way many times. So a bit of both, what I'm feeling, what I'm struggling with, and then how I usually try to get through this, which I have not officially done yet. Before I start talking about myself, I wanted to just first of all address the fact that I really do think social media and content creation is that deep. I have said that for years because I think when it comes to social media and content creation advice, it's very technical. It's usually about what platform to post on, how much to post, your hooks, the text on screen, the caption, the hashtags, the trends, Instagram versus TikTok versus YouTube. Like, it's all very technical about actual like social media platforms, the algorithm, like all of that. But for me personally, over the years, what I really do think is that is not what's hard about social media and content. It's not all that technical stuff. What's hard about it is the emotion that comes behind it. Because as a creator, as an influencer, it is an oversimplified thing that you are doing. Firstly, you are putting yourself into a brand. You actually do have to put yourself and brand yourself into a box. And you are constantly thinking about how you are coming across on social media, how people are viewing you. But not only are you branding yourself and like turning yourself and your life, your opinions, your personality into a business and a brand. And then of course there's the element of every single person you know is watching you kind of be this branded version of yourself on social media. It's extremely cringe, which we always talk about, embrace the cringe. But then you're getting inundated with all of this social media and content strategy, and none of it makes sense together. You are being told to be passionate and talk about whatever you want to talk about, but then also don't talk about too many things because you should niche down. But you actually are the niche and you shouldn't niche down. And then you should solve problems, but don't give tips. And then you should be authentic, but then also have a personal brand, but don't talk about your personal life. But then also be unfiltered with your content, but then your content has to look perfect and it should be trending, but then not be trending. And you want it to be about your life, but then you're supposed to solve problems and give advice, but then you don't actually have to do that. You can't post a day in your life, but then you see someone else blow up for posting a day in their life. It's just a lot. It's a lot. And then on top of that, you are frozen by opportunity because you really probably, as myself as well, see social media as this giant opportunity. You're seeing people become millionaires and get millions of followers all the time, but always in different ways. There's so many platforms. There's TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and there's a podcast, but then there's a whole other element of starting a business, whether it's coaching or a brand or products. And then there's Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok, Pinterest. Now there's Substack. There's so many different ways and avenues and ways that you can approach social media, not just from like a niche and brand and topic and strategy perspective, but then also like where to put all of that energy, like into what. Because maybe you put all your energy to TikTok, but then apparently TikTok's getting banned, but then maybe you should be on Instagram. And then what should you talk about? How do you want to talk about it? And what's different about you? Like it's a lot. It's a lot. But then there is this deeper piece I really do think that I think the connection between your identity of who you are and social media is so interconnected. And I do really think that sometimes being a content creator and posting on social media is kind of this feeling of a never-ending identity crisis because you are constantly viewing yourself from like a 30-foot view of trying to brand yourself and brand your opinion and brand your personality into like certain buckets. But then because you're a human being and you evolve and you change, that is always met with this feeling of like frustration as a creator. Because if your interests change or you change or what you want to talk about or your opinions, you feel like that's a bad thing to evolve and change because you're supposed to be cohesive and have really clear niches and topics. And so as a content creator, as somebody who posts on social and influencer, whatever, all these different ways you can approach social, it is really hard to just exist and just be. And then at the root of all of this, and why I think social really is so deep and can feel so heavy and overwhelming and frustrating, is because the reason you want to post and grow in social media is probably not for a superficial reason, especially if you're over here busy blooming. Like maybe you do want followers and PR and like different things, but I'm sure that you want to do more than that. I'm sure that you are posting on social media maybe to make an income for yourself or an income for your family, or be a full-time content creator and quit the job that you hate. Or you want to start this big business that you're really passionate about. Or you want to start a movement and make an impact in people's life with your content. Or maybe you just have this big vision and these goals for your life and for you of like, you just want to be bigger than like what you're doing now, and you just feel like you're meant for more. And those are all like big, deep, heavy things. And so you care a lot because you want all these things so bad, and that's not superficial to want to do any of those things. And so social media and content creation, I think, has so many different layers to it. I could dive into everything we talked about in its own episode. But the truth is, with all of this, with all of the things that we're talking about, nobody knows what they're doing. Nobody knows what they're doing because social media is always changing. It always is. Influencer marketing every single year just gets bigger and bigger, and social media changes every single day. New algorithms, new trends, new platforms, and then the type of content people like to consume changes every single day. People used to want really educational content, and now that they want more entertaining, comfort, casual content. But then again, you're hearing all different types of opinions and advice all the time. But the truth, I really do believe, is that nobody knows what they're doing. Even people like me, who I have worked in content and social for over 10 years. I have coached hundreds of people over the years. I have met one-on-one with so many people I know that you follow. The sentiment is the same, whether you have 10 followers or 10 million. Social media and content creation is really, really difficult, and it's really hard to feel like you know what you're doing. Some people are just better at pretending than others. I constantly am in my head about content all the time, and my content is about content. It's about social media. And I think sometimes if you are a content strategist or you work in marketing or social media, it's such a blessing and a curse because you do have a good understanding of what works and why things work. So it can sometimes be the worst thing as a creator to have to, like, you almost know too much. And I constantly over the years go through phases of questioning everything and feeling really out of alignment with what I'm talking about and what I'm creating. I love a fresh start. Like, I love a new year, a new month. I love like wiping my feed and starting fresh and day ones and all of that. I do love, and I know a lot of you do too. And as we've been talking about with content creation recently on Over Here Busy Blooming, is that it is messy. And it's not just messy in the way that you have to post content, that you don't overthink it and just push through and post, like all of that. That's one more technical piece. But I also do think there's this messy middle that's really hard to escape with social and content, and just like building your dream life through all of this and income and all of that, is that you are never really at the place that you want to be ever. Content creation in general and social media, you really do always kind of exist in this messy middle state of vision boards and goals and rebrands and pivots and changes you want to make all the time with your brand and your content and all of it. And so you constantly feel like you just aren't where you want to be. And as somebody who has personally hit a lot of the places and beyond that I've wanted to do with my business and social and everything, is that never changes. The goalpost always moves. Even when you think it doesn't, it just does. And so it's really, really hard, I think, at the core of a lot of this, to be content with where you are, what you're doing. And it's really, really hard to not get down on yourself as a creator and as somebody who does social and all this whole world of creative entrepreneurship because of everything we just talked about. Like, there are endless reasons to feel bad about content and social. And what I wanted to share today is hopefully bring someone some comfort that I am right there with you. As someone who literally, again, is supposed to tell people what to do on social media, and I've done this full time for so many years. I have people who work with me full time at the podcast with my content. I also crash out about content all the time. Like, I am always analyzing and oftentimes get in ruts of like overthinking. I constantly like to pivot and rebrand and elevate and strategize and redo things and change my bio a million times and then archive content. And then I can get really in my head about so many things that we talk about like the other day I was literally thinking to myself, I'm like, would the version of me with 1 million followers use these emojis? Like, would my future self, who has all the goals that I want, would that person use these emojis? That's what I'm talking about, that level of like truly overthinking everything and kind of having this analysis paralysis. I go through that too. There are so many things that I want to do, and I want to do things differently with every element of what I do on social, with my business, with everything, that are so much bigger and different than what I'm doing now. And so I'm also there with you. you of feeling like there are so many things I want to accomplish that I haven't yet. But then I also do struggle sometimes with feeling like I'm out of alignment of like, am I really interested in talking about all these things? Like, do I want to have a bit of a different lens? I need to like strategize and like rethink this. I don't know. Even like changing my long-term goals all the time. And I do have to say, I think sometimes it can be really helpful to know that other people feel the same way that you do. I remember one time I met a creator, I'm not going to say who it is, but that I have followed since I was in high school. I look up to them so much, and I was working with them on something. And I remember when I met them, this was a long time ago, and I saw them say that they were like so confused about their Instagram page and they had no idea what they were doing, and they were just like overthinking content. And like the way that they were talking about it, someone I looked up to so much, is the exact same way that I talk to it with Maddie or with my husband, like different people at Busy Blooming. It like blew my mind, because social media is something that it's interesting when social media is your job, especially if you're more of like a lifestyle influencer. You always do want to come across kind of like you have it all together. So if this at all brings one person some comfort to know that the last, I would say like couple of weeks have really been super in my head of like what I want to be known for, my brand, all of this. Again, as somebody who does this full time and has like tens of thousands of people that listen to this podcast every week, I just want you to know I feel you. And sometimes we can get really hard on ourselves. One of the biggest things I wish I could go back and tell myself a few years ago, when I was like making $1,000 a month from content, I had just quit my 9-to-5 job. I was so financially stressed and just so trying to figure out how to grow on social and like make this my job. I wanted it so desperately. Is I wish I could tell myself and really ask myself the question of, why would you feel like you know what you're doing? All of us in this world of social and content, regardless of how many followers you have, how much money you make, we are all doing this for the first time. Why would you feel like you know what you're doing if you're doing something you've never done before? It's like driving to a destination, but you've never even seen the destination. You've never been there. So why, when you're on the road to it, would it feel familiar? It's their first time. And as creative entrepreneurs and in social, you are in a new job every single day. You're in a new role because your business and you and the content is changing all the time. And it's so hard to like package it all together sometimes as well, and like just have your strategy right and everything. So anyways, the last couple of weeks, I have been going through a total content crash out. I think it is something about this time of year as well. If you're watching this in real time, it's November, like the beginning of November. The end of the year is approaching. I personally take December basically off. I always use December as like a 30-day planning strategy reset. So for me personally, I feel like is one of the biggest life hacks with business and social, which I'm going to do a whole episode on my December process that I've done for 4 years. But for me personally, it's like you have 1 month left before the holidays. You have all these big goals that you wanted to hit in 2025, and maybe 2025 has gone differently or things have happened to you. And again, side note, let's not all forget that we're human beings and like exist and have real heavy, hard things happen in our life. And sometimes you just have to let yourself be human. Sometimes you just have to let yourself exist and feel all of these things. But I wanted to kind of share with you, now that I'm feeling a little bit better, more grounded, of my process of what I do when I'm really feeling like in a rut with content. When I'm really just either feeling lost or out of alignment or ungrounded or overwhelmed or just like really hard on myself of what I'm doing, I'm going to share a little process that I do. So firstly, you just have to know that there is nothing wrong with you for feeling this way. Again, I feel this way all the time. I'm right there with you. You are not a failure of a creator for wanting to rebrand. You're not doing anything wrong by not liking to talk about the things you've been talking about, or that maybe your content is flopping, or you're not having fun, or you're not enjoying it, or you're not posting as much as you want to post, you're not being as consistent as you want, you haven't hit your goals. That is not just you. It is everybody in this industry. It's part of the process. This is such a messy, deep, emotional, chaotic industry that we have all chosen to be in here at the office. And I really do think if you feel unclear of your direction and you're like, what do I want to talk about? I'm feeling out of alignment. Listen to it. Like really, really listen to it. I think if you feel like you know what you're doing and everything feels perfectly organized and a bow on it, that it's a sign that you're not really stretching and growing and getting out of your comfort zone. You really should feel like you don't know what you're doing, because it shows that you're growing and doing something new for the first time, which is a good thing. So just know we're all right there with you. I'm right there with you. And all of this is not a sign that you are doing anything wrong or there's anything wrong with you. The second thing to do, I really do think, when you're feeling all these different things, is to pull back. Personally, for me, my instinct is basically always to push through. I really struggled with overworking and hustle culture and burnout, especially in my mid-20s. It was a dark time. And sometimes it can feel really hard because you feel like you should just push yourself to like just keep posting and just like push through and get some grit, everyone always says, and just like keep going, keep pushing. Even if you feel out of alignment or you don't know what you're doing or content's not working, I have to disagree. I just do. If you were really, really going through it for a long period of time, pull back because you can. There's an abundant amount of time to do everything you want to do, and it will all happen when it's meant to for you in your life. And just take a second and take a 30-foot view of what are you doing and why? Like, where are you going? And if you could start fresh and have a blank slate, what would you stop doing? Like, really tap into these emotions, because these emotions, these thoughts, these feelings, they're trying to tell you something. What are they trying to tell you? I really do think one of the most valuable things I've ever learned in this job is really trying to understand the feeling of being in alignment, being in a flow state, and being resistance and pushing through resistance. Because there's a difference between pushing yourself to like just post the episode, post the video, you'll feel better when you just post it, versus pushing through resistance, doing something you're not really meant to do or you want to do. So pause, pull back for a second, get a 30-foot view, and give yourself some space, because you need creative space to strategize and get in alignment with like what you want to do. Next thing we're going to do, when we've had a little bit of a break, we've pulled the car over, which we talked about before, is I'm going to give you permission right now to drop some things off your plate. This has to be my biggest kryptonite over the years of doing everything. The podcast, Busy Blooming, social media, everything, is I always am doing too many things at once. It is a cycle I don't know if I will ever break. I don't know if I'll be 50 years old on this podcast saying, you guys, I'm still doing too many things at once. But this is your permission to let a couple of things go. Even if they're on your 2025 goals list, you can change your goals, because remember, you can do whatever you want. If a lot of the time, if you were feeling burnt out, exhausted, out of alignment, just like flopping with content, you don't have your priorities straight. This is me talking to me 2 weeks ago. You are doing 10% at 10 things and doing nothing at 100, and that's why you're feeling this way. And I'm not just talking about priorities in terms of your social media platforms, the different income streams you have. I'm also talking about the priorities of the type of content you're making. You need to have clear priorities of what are the main things you want to talk about and what are the main messages and hot takes you want to have. That feeling, if you are truly feeling like you are doing nothing well and nothing's working, you're lost, you don't have priorities, you are doing too many things. You're talking about too many things on too many platforms. You're trying to grow too many things at once, and you need to grow them top to bottom. And you really do feel in alignment with those as well, because that could be another thing going on, is maybe you've really been prioritizing one thing when you really want to prioritize something else. This brings me into my next piece, which I always do as well, is I simplify everything. The content strategy. Pull back a couple of content pillars, maybe pause a series, pause even an income stream that you're doing, like whatever you need to pause in your business, but strip it down and simplify it. Stop trying to talk about 25 different topics and shove so much stuff into your personal brand, and also spread yourself so thin throughout the day of trying to post on Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, YouTube, and then have a Substack, and then have a podcast, and then do coaching. Like, just, I'm clocking into being your boss for a second here. You have to take some things off your plate. You are doing too much. I know you're doing too much. Okay, and then the fifth thing I do, which this is just so hard, but it's so important, is you have to start backing yourself more. If you are constantly feeling like you are a failure, you're flopping, you're lost, you don't know what you're wanting to do, you're rebranding, you're pivoting, stop looking for advice. Stop it. Stop listening to content strategists coming from a content strategist and marketing person, but stop. If you continue buying coaching and one-on-ones and courses and programs and looking at content tips online, you are never going to be grounded. All of the pieces of advice that you hear from people all have a different goal. Some of it is to go viral, some of it is to build a business, some of it is for influencers, some is for content creators. If you keep looking externally for all the answers, answers, you'll never find them. You need to start looking inward and really back yourself and get in the CEO mode. Do you think CEOs of companies look online for tips of how to run their company? No, and you don't need to either. All you need to do is simplify, create a plan, and stick to the simple plan. To your business that you're the CEO of that nobody else really knows. Nobody has the vision you have. Nobody has the goals, the topics, the understanding, the context. No one knows the way your mind works, the way that you do time management, how you create content. Like nobody knows all that. So create your priorities, simplify what you're doing, and just stick to a plan. Stop looking around for advice and tips and hacks and strategy. The best strategy is the one that you can stick to. So stop looking around so much and back yourself and say, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, but I know that I don't know what I'm doing. And Tess doesn't know what she's doing either. And nobody knows what they're doing, and that's okay. And so I'm going to create my goals, my priorities. I'm going to come up with my plan. I'm just going to stick with it and stop looking around. So that is my little formula of what I do and what I have been doing in the last couple of days when I am really floundering and kind of like drowning with content and the business and goals and just feeling really far away from what you want to do. I really want to start sharing more of like all of this stuff because I really do feel like sometimes I have more mental breakdowns than other people do about social media and content. And so I feel like, you know what? And I really do think there is such a link between like identity and self-development and all of this with building all the things you want to build in social media that are so skipped over. And again, in my opinion, it's 90% of what matters is you as the actual creator than the like hashtags and algorithm. Because it's so much deeper than just getting a bunch of views. It's building your vision, your dream, what you want to be known for, your messaging, like that's what matters. But then figuring all that out and being able to execute it is like so deep. So I think that concludes our meeting of the day. We have a lot more work to do. And if you're watching on YouTube, I actually am filming this at sunset. Before the sun sets, let's get into our next segment, which is what needs to come across your desk. So let's get into it. Okay, let's kick it off with content ideas and trends. So as you guys know, every single week I pull a couple of ideas and trends from Busy Blooming HQ's content ideas and trends report. And so I have a couple of trends and then some new like fresh content ideas for the week. So the first one is the trend going on right now, which is sometimes you just have to read a text and move on. This one is so funny. This has been going around on TikTok. The format of this is it is two carousel slides. The first one has text on screen that says, sometimes you just have to read a text message from blank, like my mom, my dad, my brother, and move on. And then the next slide is the text message. This really started from this format of like from your family, etc. But I feel like there's so many fun ways that you could do this as a creator, as a founder that I haven't really seen. And I actually did this the other day. So firstly, if you are a business owner and you have clients, I think this could be such a fun way to showcase your client reviews or an email that you got. And this could either be like a funny email or a funny review or something, or it could be a negative one or a positive one even too. But I think it's such a good way to showcase your clients. So you could say, sometimes you just have to read a review from your client and move on with your day, and then showcase something like that. I think that's a really good on-brand way to use this trend. Or you could do comments or DMs you've received on your content. This is what I did the other day. I posted this on TikTok because in my mind, I was thinking, if I post this on TikTok about my voice, because I get so many comments about my voice all the time and just how annoying it is, I thought if I post one of the comments about my voice, people are going to want to go to my profile and hear my voice. So I pinned some videos from the podcast. So I did, sometimes you just have to read a sweet comment and move on with your day. And the comment says, what chemicals do you have to gargle for your voice to constantly sound like there is more air than needed coming out when you speak? Honestly, he really put some creativity into that, so you cannot take away the creativity points. But I think this is such a fun way to showcase your brand, especially if someone leaves a comment about like your opinion on fashion or fitness or whatever it is. It's like a good way to showcase your brand in this trend. Another way I thought you could do this, which I haven't seen, is all of these I haven't seen, but also doing a ChatGPT response. So saying sometimes you just have to read a response from ChatGPT and go on with your day. And if you could get a ChatGPT response, like that one we talked about on the podcast a couple of months ago, about this like self-improvement piece that ChatGPT gave us all. He read us to filth, truly. That like relates to your brand. I think that could also be funny as well. Okay, the next content idea for the week is more of an evergreen content idea, but I have been seeing this going around a lot. And so people have been doing this, talking to camera video. I would do like 60 seconds-ish on that. It's like a little nice, 60 seconds is a nice sweet spot for talking videos in my opinion. The whole concept of this is things about me that'll make you follow or unfollow. I've been seeing people do this in like a get ready with me style where they will just say, okay, these are some things about me that will either make you follow or unfollow me, and then go through things about them. I think a better way to do this actually is to say, here are some opinions that I have that will make you follow or unfollow, or like, here are some hot takes that I have about fitness, fashion, content, social media, whatever your brand is about. There's kind of two ways you could do this. It could either be like about you as an intro video, and I would still make it relevant like to your content, like maybe your job experience or something. But if you could focus it on your opinions or your hot takes, I think it's like a really fun get ready with me, voiceover vlog, talking to camera video, or it could also be a carousel as well, or both. Okay, and the last content idea for the week is doing a plan for the rest of 2025. So at the time of posting this, there are 2 months left of 2025, and I do think it's a really good time of year not to yet start talking about 2026, because I think more mid-November is a really good time to talk about 2026. But I think a talking to camera video or carousel with the hook, you have 2 months left to blank by the end of 2025, and here's your plan. Or if you want to do it more inward focused, saying, okay, there are 2 months left of 2025 to blank, so here's how I'm going to do it. So either, again, this could be more of like a tips, advice, instructional video, but just simply, this is such a simple idea, but just picking one goal or feeling that you want to have, or your audience wants to have by the end of 2025, and just say, okay, for the next 2 months, here's what you're doing, or here's what I'm doing. And this format could, again, be voiceover vlog, a carousel, a talking to camera video, a notebook guide like we talked about last week. But this could be like save 10K, hit all my fitness goals, get my dream body, redo my closet, be a full-time content creator. This is a really good piece of content that could either be like an inward focused journey of you hitting a goal by the end of 2025, or tips of how someone's going to do it. This is just a really nice like time-based piece of content as well. Okay, so those are the 3 content ideas and trends for the week. If you want 10 ideas, go check out the report I just dropped last evening and a Busy Blooming HQ. It's our digital office for social. We also are doing a YouTube workshop this week in Busy Blooming HQ. So if you want to go on YouTube, go check out the YouTube workshop. I'll be there live. Drop your questions. We'll chat about your YouTube. And then in terms of headlines, platform updates, all of that, I really honestly only have one, which is that Adam Mosseri, which I feel like we talk about Adam Mosseri every single week over here, Busy Blooming, the CEO of Instagram. He dropped a gorgeous video. He is somebody who has really been on his content game. He posts so much content. He does his weekly Q&A that you can ask him anything about Instagram, but he also drops content all the time on his feed about like how to grow on Instagram, new features, all of that. So it's our weekly Adam Mosseri corner, truly at this point. He dropped a video on Instagram about how to get more reach or more views on Instagram. But it was very like Busy Blooming coded, his advice. I thought, does he listen? Like, is he a member of the Busy Blooming office? He basically gave 3 tips. The first one was have a clear goal, clear content strategy. The second was have different like repeatable templates. And then the third was to continue testing all the time. I thought, Adam Mosseri has clocked into Busy Blooming. I think he has. But I thought it was an interesting video. If you are trying to grow on Instagram, go check it out. I just think it was something to bring across your desk. In terms of other news and platforms for the week, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, nothing revolutionary in my opinion that I think you need to know about. The new algorithm on Instagram is starting to get tested and rolling out, but it's not out personally for me. So we might talk about that next week. But honestly, again, at the end of the day, it's like 5% important. Content people want to watch, want to save, want to interact with, content people want to see is just like what wins. Okay, so I think that ends our work meeting for the day. What needs to come across your desk, crash out, reset, routine, our meeting about the deep side of social media / like content therapy, all of that. I hope you enjoyed that. Now let's get into our last segment, which is after hours, where we clock out of work and we clock in to after hours. After hours is where we kind of are off the clock at work. We can talk about things that are trending on social media, like pop culture things. Maybe they're more human side of social media, the emotional side, behind the scenes of Busy Blooming. And for this week, I actually wanted to try something new in after hours, and I'm dying to know what you think. So I actually posted in Busy Blooming HQ, and I said, okay, if anyone wants to be featured on the Busy Blooming podcast this week in after hours, please drop a comment of something you're going through or struggling with, and we can unpack it in after hours. So I got a couple of comments that I'm going to read through, and let me know if you like this approach to after hours of really reading what you personally are feeling from the Busy Blooming office directly. So I have some voice notes, and then I also have some text. So let's play voice note. I've never done anything like this on the podcast, but I think this is so fun. So let's play.
Hi Tess. My question is kind of about just the anxieties and the struggles with posting stuff. Like when you embrace the cringe and you actually be brave and you post the video and you make the video, that initial feeling you get after you hit post, and then you spend the next like half an hour like, oh my God, I'm the most embarrassing person in the world, or oh my God, that actually wasn't that good of a video. Do you kind of have, or did you have when you were starting out, anything in place? Like you would have a habit, like you would post a video and then you would go and do something for your mental health, or you would kind of speak to a friend to reinforce that, you know, you're not a loser. Yeah, just a thought, and I wondered if anyone else struggled with this.
Okay, this is such a good question. First of all, you have the most beautiful accent, and so I just feel like our podcast is so elevated. So thank you so much for just elevating the vibe over here at Busy Blooming. Okay, yes. So even like what we were talking about today of just all of the different pieces of why content and social can be very like emotional and hard and difficult. This is one big piece. It's because it is cringe. Like, you guys, when I was 22 years old, I posted 9-to-5 vlogs. I worked extremely corporate jobs at Big Four in tech. My coworkers would watch my content talking about my 9-to-5 job. And my family would watch. And it's even sometimes not even the people you know best. It's the people you kind of know, like your friends of friends or your coworkers that you don't really know that well. Like, it is really, really hard. One reason I say embrace the cringe, and I have for years, is because I really do think, and I've said this before, that cringe is a side effect of future success. I really, really think that cringe is a growing pain in a hallway from where you are to where you're going, and it is the clearest sign that you're out of your comfort zone. And so try to reframe cringe in your mind of when you post a video and you're just like dying on the inside of this is so cringe, this is so embarrassing. Think to yourself, this is a sign that I am stretching, I am growing, I need to embrace this because this is a side effect that I am working towards being successful. I will get my goals. I will get everything I want, but everything you want is on the other side of cringe. This is a big reason not everyone posts on social media. Not a lot of people, a lot of people I know they want to post on social media. They want to start a podcast. They want to post on TikTok, but they cannot think and get over the cringe. They cannot get over people watching them trying at something and posting and starting. And I really do think not everything is cringe until it's successful. Even if you're successful at something, people will still think that you're cringe. One thing I will say to you is that cringe does go away. It really, really does. I never feel cringe or embarrassed about anything I post on social media anymore. I love it so much. I'm so proud of it. This podcast, my content, like it's my everything. I just love it so much, and I don't get embarrassed anymore. And it is not forever. Like, it's actually not. So rather than feeling like down on yourself or anxious, feel proud of yourself. If you feel cringe and scared, be proud. Be so proud of yourself that you are growing and putting yourself out there. And also, sometimes just go on YouTube and watch a video of the universe like expanding from the earth. Like, you know those videos on YouTube where you can see how big the universe is and you can just see how small Earth is? Just remember, like, we're on a floating rock and literally nothing matters. We're on a floating rock. Who cares? We do. We care. But you know what I mean. Okay, thank you so much for your question. Let's go through a couple of others I got from HQ. This is so fun. We're going to have to do this every week. Somebody said, I'm a fellow Canadian creator and I completely rebranded my Instagram, started a new TikTok, and started up on YouTube. I post beauty content, workouts, efficient routines to stay fit and productive. And I was so happy to get an email offering with a gifting from Garnier. Oh my God, amazing. When they received my Canadian mailing address, they said they won't be able to proceed. How can I work with brands on Canadian soil? I'm going to give you a unfiltered behind the scenes of my business and my income. In 2025 so far, I have worked with 68 brands. I've done 68 brand deals this year. Not one of those brand deals is Canadian. Every single one of those 60 brands are US-based brands. And I'm sitting here in downtown Toronto. I'm a Canadian. But I basically always get paid in US. All the brands I work with are US based. And so maybe this will provide you some hope that I also did find it difficult at the beginning as a Canadian creator with gifting and PR and different brand deals. Brands sometimes like to work with US creators, but it's not always that way. So just know you can work with US brands. They love working with Canadian creators. It's just some of them don't. Okay, I'll do one more question. I was going to do two, but I'm just going to do one more because they're all so good. Okay, somebody said, my question is, with all the trends, different different opinions, constant algorithm changes, and AI, how do you stick firmly to your brand and the content you want to put out there while catering to a diverse community, brand deals, and what else do you do? How would you navigate feeling overwhelmed, and advice for someone who is just getting started, growing all their socials, and getting monetized? This is like the perfect question for today's episode because, as you can tell, it is very overwhelming, even when you do it full time for years and years. What I would say for this is the advice I gave in the meeting today of you just have to create your own little bubble, and it's really, really hard. But I find for me, I feel ungrounded and overwhelmed and just like I'm drowning and failing personally when I don't have my own back and I'm not grounded in my own like routine and strategy. Again, like we said, stop looking around, and this is so ironic coming from me, but I'm just being so for real with you. If we were like out for coffee as friends, this is what I would tell you. Stop looking at so much advice. Social media advice can be so detrimental to your growth on social media, ironically, because you get so out of your head. And again, they don't know you. They don't know how your mind works. They don't know your brand. So every piece of advice is for different types of people. Not all of it's for you. So what I would do is honestly what we said in this episode, set your priorities, simplify your content strategy, just create a routine and a brand that you want to do that works for you, and get in this CEO mindset rather than an employee mindset and think, this is what I want to do. These are my goals. This is my direction. This is how much I'm going to post and how I'm going to post. And I'm just going to stick with it. Action really does create confidence. And the more that you post and stick to your plan and kind of just block out all the noise of what's trending, what people are doing and different strategies and the algorithms changing, like who cares? Just create your own little bubble of what you do and really stop looking around at what other creators are doing and what other strategists and coaches are telling you to do. Not completely, because I do think a lot of it obviously is helpful, especially the busy blooming stuff. But I do think even for myself, all of this scrolling on social, even if you're just like on a Saturday morning scrolling, it can really, really affect you because it's clocking to you. All that content you're constantly like taking in and getting processing of, look what that creator's doing, or how they edited, or the font, or the music, or how they're filming setup, or what they're talking about. So what I would say is just stop looking around. Scroll so much less. You need so much creative space and energy to do what we do. I delete my social media almost every single Friday. Like, don't scroll on the weekends. Get a brick to brick up your phone and lock your phone, or have the limiting apps, and just stop looking around so much at content and coaches and advice, and just create your own little like bubble, if that makes sense. Okay, that was so much fun for the after hours today. I think I'm going to keep doing this. So if you want to be featured in the episode, join Visiting HQ, and I'll drop this again next weekend because I do record these like the night before they go live to try to stay on trend and news as much as I can. But thank you so much for being here. This is definitely a different type of episode, but it was really, really fun. So I hope this provided you some comfort. Thanks for clocking with me this week. Happy Monday. Let's just have a gorgeous, amazing week in the world of social and content. If you're crashing out, we're all crashing out together. That's what's so good about being at work together with your coworkers. You truly sometimes can be the worst version of yourself, and that's okay. I hope you all have an amazing week, and I'll see you next time. And if you want to join Visibility HQ, we're going live tomorrow for a live meeting. We're doing a YouTube workshop on Wednesday. On Thursday, I'm going to audit some of your content, so go check out Visibility HQ. It's so much fun. And with all that being said, thanks so much for being here. It's time to clock out, and let's have an amazing week.